Good morning,
What you do.
Paolo Editor, Captain, 20 years, New York.
Yeah.
My question is regarding, as far as the public is concerned, what are going to be the measures taken to enhance the public's confidence on the aircraft? And if Airbus could provide more airplanes, which I'm sure they can't, has it ever theoretically crossed the mind of the company due to the implications that for a while are going to occur as far as how the public foresees the airplane to defer some of the orders and go via another route,
Right.
which is pretty much only Airbus, but I'm sure they can't provide more airplanes.
Right. All right. Well, gentlemen can help me out as well. Jill can help me too. But I'll start with this. The most important thing to restoring any type of confidence is to simply get the aircraft back flying. Right? There's no. We can do all of this work, and we can have all the confidence in the world. But if it's just simply a test aircraft, it doesn't do us any good. The great news is that this aircraft is the most produced, most flown aircraft as you go back to the other vintage series, in the history of aviation. Right? I think there's only one aircraft that has had a larger production run, and that's the Cessna 172. Right? Right. Exactly. Which doesn't fly very many passengers. So the good news is there's tremendous amount of history. The work that's being done, I believe, will make this aircraft the safest, the most trusted aircraft hopefully ever produced. But to your point, right? There are questions. So from a public perspective, get the aircraft back flying. What we're doing is, first off, when we do start the aircraft back flying, it will have a staggered approach. But even before then, once the aircraft is ungrounded, we intend to use that aircraft. We intended to fly that aircraft to make sure that our team members get a chance, especially our pilots. Flight attendants will get a chance to the extent that we can actually use that aircraft for charter purposes to maybe go between DFW and Phoenix to take our employees back and forth. We'll absolutely do that. I can guarantee every single senior executive and their families will, including myself, will be on the very first flights. But at the end of the day, our pilots, our flight attendants, all of us out there flying it, that's going to give the confidence back. There's no rebranding this aircraft, and there will, we have to be, confident in what we're doing. But my belief is once it's out there, once it's flying, we've had the test period, and that once the FAA has said it's okay, and once our pilots are out there flying it and advocating for it, and our flight attendants are behind them, that this will be something that will be accepted. But go ahead, please.
Is there a plan B?
Okay, and let me go through this first, and then I'll get to that. Okay. And if Jill, if you want to add anything, please do. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to add, it's a very easy story to be a negative story when the aircraft are on the ground. That's very easy, and that's what we've seen. And, once the aircraft goes into service, I think that story turns around very, very rapidly with the success that we know we're going to have with it. The airplane, the software has been under such scrutiny, worldwide scrutiny. It's been a process in the short term, lasting longer than probably any of us anticipated. But that scrutiny of that software by the world, in addition to the FAA and Boeing, is really going to add to the confidence level when that aircraft does fly, and I think that story turns around pretty quick. When we flew those trips, the three of us were at altitude, and we looked at each other, and this is not made for TV. This is really our feeling. It was an emotional time, as we know we've been working this project, and we saw how beautiful the airplane was, and as I mentioned, we saw how clean they were, but we were like, why is this airplane on the ground? And that was with 11.1 in it, 11.1 in the AD. Again, we understand what's changing, and we know going forward, not an issue. But even with the 11.1 in the AD, there's so much focus on that negative part. It's a beautiful airplane, and it needs to get back in the air.
Jill, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'll just add. Hi, I'm Jill Surdak. Your question was about customers as well, and we definitely view that this all starts with our crew confidence, exactly to Robert's point. But please know there's a cross-departmental effort across the entire company around this return to service plan. So it's not only the awesome work that Flight and APA are doing, but also our communications team, flight service, et cetera. And so, we will absolutely be focused on customer information, education, visibility, and flexibility to make sure they have the information they need when this plane returns to service.
Okay, so thanks, Jill. And just to the second part of the question, look, the MAX is important to us. We have orders for 100 aircraft. We're supposed to have 40 by the end of this year. By the end of 2019, we're supposed to have 50 in the fleet by the end of 2020, and then the remaining delivered by 2026. So 100 aircraft, mainline aircraft, right? That's not an insignificant number of aircraft. It is absolutely something that restrained us from growing as much as we would have liked to have this year. We weren't as big and we achieved DFW 900, but we weren't as big in DFW as we had hoped to be. We certainly had to cut back some flying out on the East Coast. As we take a look into this coming year, 2020 is a year for American to grow. It absolutely positively is. And without these aircraft, that's a problem. So in regard to what are the other alternatives, there are not a lot of great, near-term alternatives that don't mean, really getting out into the used market. And while we're out there and taking a look, there's nothing that is easy on the horizon that replaces 100 aircraft. But we've got to make sure that, we're prepared. And of course, we're taking a look to see, how best we can support our flying going forward. And again, I'll just underscore, 2020 should be a great year for American. Not only do we have the growth in DFW behind us, we have Charlotte that we're adding, 7 new gates to that should grow considerably. And we had planned to do, quite a bit more internationally. But all of that is pushed by, having the appropriate fleet of narrow bodies. So we're out there looking. You're right. There is no big gap in production plans. And as a matter of fact, for the most case, no matter which manufacturer you're talking about, they're running really full blast, and it's hard to get aircraft delivered on time. And so the opportunities for new aircraft out there, I think, are unlikely. But we will do whatever is necessary to make sure that American is protected and that we grow as we hope and believe that is appropriate. So thanks for that. Thanks for that question. All right. What else? Yes, sir.
Thanks.